Hello everyone, today I'm going to be predicting one kit for every Splatoon 3 weapon. Obviously we do not have all the subs and specials confirmed, so here's the deal. We know every main weapon is coming back. I'm going to include Dual Squelcher to make you guys happy, even though it probably shouldn't. And I'm going to use every sub weapon in Splatoon 2, not 1, and every special we know for Splatoon 3 being confirmed. So that's the 7 main ones. And I'm going to be basing these off of both trying to be strong kits, trying to be similar to previous games, and 200 will be the default, 190 the minimum, and 210 the maximum. So with that all out of the way, subscribe if you enjoy, and let's get started. Okay, Splooshomatic. Common subs it's had between both games is Splat Bomb and Beacon, and the common specials are Ultra Stamp and Kraken. So I decided to give it Splat Bomb and Crab Tank. So Splat Bomb obviously works pretty well for Sploosh. It's a bit of poking, a bit of damage, very simple. Crab Tank allows you to be more aggressive, kind of like Kraken did in the first game, but it also gives you some more long distance pressure and some protection that I think the Sploosh 7 kit in the first game did with a little bit of Zuka. So I think it's a nice combination of all of the good parts of all its previous kits. So Splattershot Jr. has had Splat Bomb in both games and Armor Slash Bubbler in both games. So we're going to give it Splat Bomb and Big Bubbler. Very simple, supportive kit that the weapons played since the beginning. I think this is probably the most obvious one that everyone expected. Aerospray. It has had Curling slash Seeker and Burst Bomb, and it's had Ink Strike slash Booyah Bomb and Kraken slash Baller. So with this, it could have either gone with a more aggressive kit or supportive kit, and I feel like support worked better. So I ended up giving it Burst Bomb and Triple Ink Strike being the best painting combination of the game. Maybe a little bit better with Fizzy, but I felt Burst helps arrows so much, and it's a similar sub it's had, that I went with it. So this is a very high paint output, very high special output type of weapon, and I think that would work pretty well. All right, Splash. We've already seen it. It has Burst Bomb Zipcaster. I gave it 210 for the points for special because I feel like it is a very good kit. Splash has had Burst Bomb before. Zipcaster for aggressive makes sense. Not really a lot to say. Splattershot, another kit we know, and points for special we know. There was literally nothing I could customize. This is like the Splatoon 1 T-Tech kit. It's cool. 52, another one where we know main, sub, special, points for special, similar to its Splatoon 1 kit. Not a lot to say. And Zap. So I didn't want Zap to hard compete with Junior, so I went with Vacuum instead of Big Bubbler. I wanted to do a supportive special, though it's had Ink Strike and Ink Storm as its similar ones. I also didn't want it to be too similar to Aerospray. So I decided to give it Sprinkler since that's its only neutral sub, and I think it works fine with it as a supportive option, and go with Ink Vacuum for the support special since Zap has a good bit of mobility. It would easily be able to move around and block for teammates. So I think this would be pretty nice for it if they make Sprinkler an actual solo. But Splattershot Pro is another kit we've already seen in terms of sub, special, and points for special. If the marker does damage, it might not be terrible for it, otherwise rip. Alright, the fan favorite, the one everyone loves. Dual Squelcher. This weapon kind of sucks and is outshined by other options, so I tried to give it the best possible chance for success kit. So, the lower points for special, Fizzy Bomb for the sub weapon for chip damage, paint, mobility, etc., and Killer Whale 5.1 because it had Killer Whale in its custom kit in the first game, and I feel like it could play off the chip damage very well and have a higher special output. Maybe it could work as a niche mid-range support. It probably won't. If this weapon actually does come back, I hope they A, give it a redesign because it looks too similar, and B, give it something so it's a little bit different. But in all reality, I don't think we're gonna get this weapon back, or at least I hope we don't. So yeah, sorry Dual Squelcher fans. 96 Scowl. So this weapon had Sprinkler and Splash Wall as common subs and no common specials. I decided to go with the Splat 1 nostalgia here and base it off the 96 deco. So I gave it Splash Wall again because I feel like it helps with so much with 96, and Crab Tank for the more aggressive of the specials that can protect itself, allowing it to go in more. So yes, this is based off the Splatoon 1 kit. I will have quite a few of these. So Jet Squelcher's only neutral sub or special is Burst Bomb, and Burst Bomb works with it super well, so I had to give it again. However, I did not want it to have a special it could even remotely sit back with, because I feel like Jet Squelcher that doesn't have to move forward is terrible for the game. So no Killer Whale 5.1, not even any Triple Ink Strike, even though that's not global. I decided to go with Big Bubbler because it's a special that revolves entirely around your positioning, and it would force you to be more aggressive. L3, the only neutral sub here is Burst Bomb, and it's had Kraken, Stamp, and Baller for the aggressive special. So, despite this, I decided to give it its old Splatoon 1 kit of Disruptor slash Toxic Mist and Killer Whale 5.1. I am hoping Toxic Mist in Splatoon 3 is a hybrid between Disruptor and Toxic Mist, where if you hit them directly, it'll have a Disruptor effect, but we don't know for sure. I think that Burst Bomb, while really good with it, would go with an aggressive kit, and I wanted to instead focus on enabling L3 to one-burst people more with chip damage, which is why I went with Killer Whale, and I felt like Disruptor would help out with the Killer Whale damage and the main weapon one and be a nice callback, so I decided to go with that instead. If I were to pick a second kit, I would go with the Burst Bomb plus Aggressive Special, but I decided to keep it to a simple, more mid-liney aggressive supportive kit for just the sake of keeping it closer to the first game. H3, so like how 96 was a callback to its 96 deco in Splatoon 1, I decided to make this a callback to its Cherry kit because even Splatoon 2 tried to call back to Cherry, it just didn't work because H3 and Bubble Blower do not go well together. So yes, it's a sub and special that offer extra protection, so H3 can be more aggressive. And H3 actually had Splash Wall Suction and Point Sensor in both games, and it had Bubble Blower slash Bubbler in both games. It also had Missile slash Echo, but that's not important. So I decided to go with the Cherry kit. Pretty simple, pretty nostalgic. This was a really good kit, and a lot of people miss it. And considering they tried to bring it back in 2, I think they will again in 3. Alright, so Squeezer. We had one shooter that was more short range with Zipcaster, and I wanted to give one of the longer range ones it. And Squeezer, with its perfect air accuracy and crazy range, I think would work best with it. I decided to switch out its sub for Suction Bomb instead of Splat Bomb. I feel like Splat Bomb and Suction are both good for it, but the extra object damage could be helpful. And I think just that slight playstyle adjustment would be okay, considering Zipcaster would be really good with Squeezer with the amount of angles and range it can play at, so I think this would be a smart new kit for the weapon. Luna Blaster. So Luna's had Splat Bomb in both games, and it has had Ink Mine and Bomb Launcher in both games. Mine is being ditched because it's terrible for it, and it has ruined it both times. I decided to keep Splat Bomb for very obvious reasons, and I went with Crab Tank for the special, because I feel like it's similar to the Baller of Splatoon 2, and I feel like Splatoon 2's vanilla Luna kit was actually really good, just a bit outshined. So giving it a basically upgraded Baller with Crab Tank that can allow it to do more distance pressure should be really good for the weapon, and I think this could be a very strong kit. Blaster's only common subs are Toxic Mist slash Disruptor, and I decided to ditch it and give it a brand new kit with Fizzy Bomb and Trizooka. So Fizzy Bomb is made to give you poke damage that you can combo off of, and a mobility tool, very useful, can even cover for paint a bit, and Trizooka would be useful for taking out more long distance threats. On top of that, you could use Fizzy Bomb to move a little bit while you're in Trizooka, so I think the entire kit has very good synergy, and yes, it is a very strong blaster kit. I feel like that's what it's gonna need. Range Blaster. So I gave this Splat Bomb Zipcaster. This is based off Splatoon 1 CRB, yes. The only common subs and special it had were Burst Bomb and Ink Strike slash Ink Storm, and the special never really worked out for it super well, and while I feel Burst Bomb is fine, I feel like that would more be a third kit thing and something for a more supportive range. I wanted to give it a more aggressive kit and something that would be close to Splatoon 1 CRB because that playstyle was really missing in Splatoon 2. Ideally, I'd like one supportive kit and one aggressive kit, but if I had to pick between them, I would pick the aggressive kit and go with something like this to really enable it, and I do think Zipcaster would work best for Range Blaster out of all the blasters because it has the most range to take advantage of it while still being able to one-shot. Rapid Blaster. So this weapon has had Ink Mine and Suction Bomb as its mutual subs, and Bomb Launcher as its specials. However, when deciding between kits for this, I wanted the normal Rapid Blasters to have a more aggressive kit, and the Rapid Pros to have a more supportive kit. So I ended up going with Torpedo and Big Bubbler. This is very based on Kensa Rapid. I decided to do Bubbler since I already gave Crab Tank to Luna, and I honestly feel like Crab Tank might even be a little bit too good for this combo. Big Bubbler would still work and enable more aggressive play, but also work supportively, so it makes it that good middle ground that Rapid Blaster is really nice at playing at. Rapid Pro has no mutual subs and no mutual specials between games. They are all somewhat distinct, so I decided to go with Squid Beacon. I think Beacon would be really, really nice for it as a mid-range weapon and help it for a more supportive playstyle, and to keep with that supportive playstyle, I went with Ink Vacuum as a way to support your team. So yes, this is a much more defensive Rapid for the longer range one that I think would work better as more a full-on support rather than a hybrid, and I think that's a better way to distinguish between normal Rapid and Rapid Pro, is to have the kits fit a bit of different playstyles based on the weapon range. I don't even care anymore. Clash Blaster deserves a Burst Bomb. It has Crab Tank already, so that part's confirmed. I don't care. It deserves it. It had Burst Bomb in the 3.0 trailer. I know that's the default, but that got everyone thinking it would have such good sub-special synergy. I don't care. You guys can learn to walk backwards. This weapon is cool, and it deserves it. Maybe they could reduce the blast radius a little bit if it gets burst. I don't care. It deserves it. give it a good aggressive kit. So Carbon Roller has only had Burst Bomb and Bomb Launcher as its neutral subs and specials. The Bomb Launchers of Seeker, Rush, and Auto Rush have been terrible for it, and I mean, everyone thinks about Splatoon 1 Carbon. So yes, I gave it its Splatoon 1 Carbon kit back. Burst Bomb, Trizooka, very strong, amazing sub-special synergy to be able to paint your feet and defend yourself. And I did give it 210p. I know it's a very hard to get special, but I feel like with a kit this good, it needs to be more expensive, and Carbon would have to be more passive to get a frequent amount of Zookas. So I feel like that would balance it out a bit to be on the more expensive side. Roller, we've already seen this sub and special. It's pretty similar to the Splatoon 2 V-Roller for the sub, and the special is a weird hybrid of Crack-On having both a beacon in it and protection. This is a very strong kit. It's awesome, and I just gave it the default. Fling's a roller, so I decided to give it a full-on support kit with this one, so I gave it Ink Vacuum, and I decided to go with Auto for the sub to change it up, to give it something that's a bit more useful for scouting. I feel like would be nicer as a support rather than Suction, and I don't feel wall worked with it super well. So, bit of new tools, 210 because it paints a lot, and I think this could be a really nice supportive roller that could be more aggressive with its horizontal flick if it wants to. So yeah, Dynamo Roller has never gone to Burst Bomb. It's had Splat Bomb / Sprinkler and Booyah Bomb / Ink Strike. I decided to carry over the Strike with Triple Strike because I think it works very well with it, but I decided to give it Burst Bomb because I really think Dynamo needs it at this point, especially with pairing. Just being able to move is so important, and I feel like Dynamo is just too hindered to the point where I think a Burst Bomb is kind of something it needs. If the devs weren't going to give it, I would really appreciate something like a Curling, or even Sprinkler is still nice to paint its feet. But I decided to go with Burst Bomb because I really feel like it needs a good sub-weapon to both help it move, to mix up, to damage, and I feel like it could still play with its more supportive playstyle. So Ink Brush has had Splat Bomb, Sprinkler, and Ink Mine every single time in both games. We're probably going to get at least one of those again, and Baller / Kraken has been the mutual sub-special, so I decided to go with Ink Mine Big Bubbler. I debated a lot between Big Bubbler and Crab Tank for the aggressive special. The reason I decided to go with Big Bubbler is because I feel like the beacon inside it would be so incredibly useful for a weapon that's really good at getting behind you. So I feel like it would give it a way to really set up, and I also feel like the combination of mine and Big Bubbler together could just make it really hard to deal with. So I feel like this is a weapon that would have really good kit synergy. It wouldn't be as helpful as Light Baller because Baller lets you move forward with the special, but if you're able to set up with the main weapon, Big Bubbler could enable your team to get in and help you stay in, and I feel like this would still be a very good Ink Brush kit. Octo Brush has already been seen. I gave it a cheaper special because I feel like it would need it. This might have a niche, but the main weapon more than likely needs buffs. That being said, I am very happy with this kit. The Suction Bomb has been really useful, and I think Zipcaster is a nice way to let it get in more. Next up is Chargers. I decided to give Squiffer the Point Marker sub. It has had Point Sensor and Suction Bomb in both games, and I think if the marker does a little bit of damage, Squiffer's uncharged shots can cap at 80 damage, and that would give it some combo potential. And it's one of the subs that takes advantage of the location effect the best. So for its special, though, I decided to give it Crab Tank. It's had both the Armor type special and Kraken type special, and Ink Zuka type special. So I felt like this is the closest hybrid between all of those. It offers some self-protection, some distance pressure, and I think this lets Squiffer be more supportive or aggressive. It definitely leans more towards aggressive, but I think it's a nice middle ground, and 210 because that main weapon is busted. Even without MPU, it's so good. And the opposite is so good, GooTuber. If they don't rework this weapon, it's hard to see it being outclassed by Squiffer, so I guess I gave it Curling because I think this is what can help with its mobility the most. It would be the closest to working well with it, I guess, and giving it more options to move, even though it'll never be as good as jumping and charging at the same time full speed. And I gave it Trizooka because I feel like Trizooka and Curling could have good sub-special synergy, giving you mobility. Maybe you could give it some kind of niche, but I just don't see it. I really hope this weapon gets turned into a bow or reworked or something. Bamboozler. So this was a really tough one to pick between, because Bamboo's gotten a lot of different subs and specials that work well with it. The only neutral special is the Echolocator / Tena Missiles, and for common subs it had Disruptor / Toxic Mist. But I still debated between a lot of it. I felt like Burst Bomb might be fine with it, considering it won't have damage up anymore. I felt like the wall could help if it got its ink efficiency reverted back to normal, but I felt like the Disruptor would be the best thing for it in terms of a little bit of hybrid. If it is part Disruptor, I feel like that would have good synergy and it's still something it's had twice. And since I went with a sub that does not do direct damage increases, I decided to go with Whale 5.1 because I felt like the Whale would give it that little bit of extra damage so it could combo off it, and Bamboo is fast enough to play off of said Whale. We already know Charger's kit. It's really good. I don't really have a lot to say about it. E-Leader. Yes, I gave it Burst Bomb. I don't care. There is no damage up. There is no 4 Burst Bomb. I think it totally deserves it. I think the best direction for E-Leader is to tone down its pain a little bit so it matches Splat Charger, but to give it the Burst Bomb so it can defend itself better. And I went with Triple Ink Strike because it's probably the closest thing to Echolocator, and I think it would be really nice for putting multiple locations around the map. I know Beacon is a neutral sub, but I feel like Beacon was always better on most of the other Chargers, and I don't really see too much to put it here. If there's a second kit, sure, but for a default kit, I feel like Burst Bomb and toning down the paint on E-Leader is a better direction than a mediocre kit and a main weapon that paints way too well for a Charger. So I decided to go with the Burst Bomb. Alright, so we already know Slosher's kit. It's a weird hybrid between Soda Slosher and the Vanilla Slosher with the Tri-Strike. It's really good for it. This is the most broken kit we've had confirmed so far. I don't have a lot to say about it. Tri-Slosher, I decided to give Burst Bomb and Bubbler. It has no mutual subs, and Ink Armor / Bubbler was the special that it had between games, so I knew it was going to have Big Bubbler. I debated a little bit between Disruptor instead, but Burst Bomb is just so helpful for Tri, and it's become such a staple that I feel like I can't really take it away. On the same note, I gave Machine Fizzy Bomb because K-Machine has become so much of a thing that I feel like it's hard to see Machine without Fizzy in the same way Carbon without Burst. In reality, the only neutral subs and specials this thing had was Point Sensor and Bomb Launcher, but I decided to go with a more aggressive kit. This still has the Fizzy Trizuka synergy, and Fizzy with the main weapon just works so well. So yes, this is a very strong kit, and I feel like Machine deserves it. So I talked about in my supports video that I wanted more weapons with the support kit, and yeah, here is it for Blob. I gave it Mine because I feel like Blob could take advantage of Mine trapping a lot when it's set up for that little bit of extra damage and the location effect. And at the same time, Blob does enough to where it doesn't need a sub-weapon to help poke. It has that range and paint. I decided to go with Vacuum for the special over Bubble, because I think that works a bit better with it. And yeah, I really want to see Blob turned into a full-on support kit, and I think it would work out super well. So yeah, this is like one of my please put it in the game kits. I really want something like this for Blob. So Explo is a problem right now, where A, its kit sucks, but B, it's good in zones and garbage everywhere else. So to keep the balance up with it, I decided to give it a kit that does not increase its painting power whatsoever. Any sub or special that would increase its paint output, I threw out the window as an option. I went with Beacon since Expo plays with more aggressive comps really well, and I think that would let it slot into that, and I went with Killer Whale 5.1 to help displace longer range weapons like Chargers, but also allow you to play off of the damage with your 90 hits, and if you trap someone, Whale could finish someone off really easily. So it definitely has a lot of kit synergy, which is why it's on the higher end of points for special, but it doesn't increase its paint output, and it should make Explo more even across all the modes in the game, rather than being really good at zones and very mediocre at Tower and Rainmaker. So Mini Splatling has had Burst Bomb in both games and no mutual specials. I decided to go with the Splatoon 1 Zimmy kit. As nice as Burst Bomb is for it, I mean, yeah, Zimmy in Splatoon 1 was just so iconic with the Disruptor Bubble combo, and I feel like this would be completely fair with the reworked Big Bubbler. So I had to make it a thing. Heavy Splatling has had actually a good bit of mutual subs and specials. Splash Wall, Sprinkler, and Point Sensor were all mutually exclusive, one of the few weapons to where all the subs were the same on all 3 kits, and its mutual special was Ink Strike and Booyah Bomb. I decided to keep with Wall and Tri-Strike because I think this is probably the best thing it could get in terms of dealing with other backlines. It's not super ink hungry, so it could take advantage of the wall to protect itself against things like Chargers, and Strike could help its paint output or move things at a distance. And on top of that, you could even use the wall to make throwing the strike markers farther safer. I think this has a lot of kit synergy and could actually work out really well for this weapon getting a niche. Hydra Splatling was a tough one to pick between. There were no common subs, and it had Ink Armor and Bubbler as its mutual exclusive kits, but I decided to ditch that because I don't think it would work super well for it with Big Bubbler or Vacuum since it's not very mobile, and go with Killer Whale, something that can impact people at a distance and help deal with longer range threats or chick damage for its team. I went with Sprinkler. It really needs a deployable sub because of how long it takes to charge, so Mine, Beacon, and Sprinkler were the ones to pick from, and spoiler alert, one of these is already going to get Beacon, and I decided Sprinkler would be more helpful since it also paints your feet, and it can give you a tool to move away faster, whereas mine is not quite as good at it. So yeah, Ballpoint has to get Beacon again. Like, Ballpoint Nuvo with Beacon is such an iconic part of the weapon, and I think it really helps more aggressive comps play around it. It gives it its identity. The special, on the other hand, is much more negotiable, and I decided to go with Crab Tank to really just lean into that aggressive backliner hybrid style. Like, this is a jack-of-all-trades kit. It can really go in like a Slayer, and I think that's part of what makes Ballpoint special is its adaptability. So I really wanted the kit for Splatoon 3 to lean into that adaptability. Finally, with Nautilus, I went with Suction Bomb and Trizuka. This is very similar to its Gold Knot kit, arguably better since the Zuka could be useful to deal with long-range weapons as opposed to Inkjet where it kind of struggles. Dapple Dualies, I decided to keep Torpedo because I felt like the sub worked pretty well for it, honestly, and it mostly just suffered from having Splashdown. And I gave it Zipcaster. I feel like of any of the short-range weapons to get Zipcaster, it should be Dapple, because Dapple can play off it the best. And I feel like with Zipcaster, it would still need to be more sneaky to find a way in, but being able to combine Zipcast with Dodge Roll should make it a bit less linear than other short-range stuff, which is why I don't really want to give Zipcast to stuff like Luna, and I feel like that would work a lot better. Normal Dualies, I decided to give a combination of its normal kit and its Kensa kit. So a Crab Tank to be similar to Baller, and a Burst Bomb to be Burst Bomb again. I feel like having a more aggressive kit works better for normal Dualie, and I thought this would be distinct enough from the normal Splattershot with a different aggressive special and a more versatile sub. Dualie Squelchers, I decided to give the point marker because it's fairly ink hungry, and if it deals some damage, it should have some form of combo potential. And I went with Big Bubbler for the special. I wanted this weapon to be a bit of a supportive aggressive hybrid, so I feel like this would be a nice kit to where you could use it supportively or aggressively, because you could obviously use the Big Bubbler to go in or to protect teammates. So I feel like this is a really nice kit for letting you play Dualie Squelcher in either play style, and that could be really nice for the weapon, because I feel like the kits in Splatoon 2 don't really give it a sense of which style fits with it, where I think this one fits both styles better than either of its previous kits. Luga Dualies. So this is another hybrid between kits. We got the Wall of the Gluga Deco and the Trizuka to be similar to Inkjet of the vanilla kit. Wall is the best sub for this weapon with how slow it is and how it plays off the two-shot. Not being able to move is a huge weakness, and I think Wall is by far the best sub to make up for it. It's probably the most important weapon to get Wall, and if it didn't get that, it would need something like a bomb, which I felt could have been more awkward, so I decided to keep it. But I wanted to give it Trizuka so it could have more aggressive potential, and I also think Wall plus Zuka could be cool potential-wise. We only saw that with the Koro Roller in Splatoon 1, and that weapon kit did not work for the weapon at all. So something like a wall to protect you when you're using Zuka could actually have cool synergy, and I want to see that on a weapon that it actually makes sense for. Tetra Dualies, I decided to keep Auto Bomb. I think it's a good poke bomb without being too strong, and I decided to go with Zipcaster. Yes, 2 Dualies with Zipcaster. I think the mobility class should get the mobility special. And yeah, Tetra would take advantage of Zipcaster a lot. I made it really expensive at 210p because Tetra's already looks like it's going to be really good in Splatoon 3, and Zipcaster would be really good with it. So I feel like the same argument applies as it does with Carbon, where if you're going to use this special, you have to take time and work for it because it would just be so strong. So I decided to give Brella the supportive kit with Torpedo and Ink Vacuum. Both the sub and the main weapon deal with blocking for your teammates, and I really like the idea of Torpedo being useful for either comboing or for poking. I just think this weapon has a ton of synergy, and it would be, like the Dual Squelcher kit I gave, really able to be adaptable between supportive and aggressive playstyles and give Brella players more freedom, and I really just like that for a kit. I like all 3 of Tenebrel's kits in Splatoon 2, besides Wall existing, of course, but I wanted to give Ten some brand new tools because I feel like it didn't really expand out of its main playstyle that much. So I decided to go with Curling Bomb because it's a mobility option, and we've never seen Tent get a mobility tool. So I feel like it could be really cool to see what you could do with a tent that also has a way to move more frequently, and it could be super useful. And then on top of that, I decided to give it Trizuka. Sub special has some good synergy. The tent shield could protect with it. I think this is a really cool brand new type kit, and tent is one of the few weapons where I feel like its old kits are a bit too linear, and getting something brand new might be what the weapon needs. Speaking of something brand new, Undercover Brella. I think this weapon is not the better supportive Brella. I think that the Kunder route should have gone to normal Brella, though it would have been too broken with Ink Armor, which is why it never really happened. And I would rather Undercover get an actual aggressive kit. Both the sub and special are made to make up for the main weapon's lack of damage. They can do better damage, they can enhance the mobility, they can help with poking with burst, and Whale especially, because if you're just shooting someone when the Whale comes out, you can tank it with your shield. It helps with the damage. This is the best kit I think it could get in terms of playing around its playstyle, and it can still be somewhat supportive here, so I don't think it locks it out of that playstyle. It's going to be really hard for Undercover to be good, and I think out of all the weapons that deserves to get carried by Burst Bomb, this is one of them, if not the main one that deserves it. And last but not least, we have the confirmed kit of the Toxic Mist / Disruptor and Killer Whale 5.1 for the Tri-Stringer. I don't think it's a great kit. I kind of liked its Splat Bomb Zipcaster that it had in the first trailer, and I hope they go back to it, but I'm still okay with this, and maybe it could have some synergy. It's not as bad as I initially thought it was. And that's my one kit prediction for every single weapon. I just really hope for Splatoon 3 we have a higher default points for special around 200, stronger kits, and bring back a lot of the fan favorite sub and special combinations. Why not? I think it fits super well. And thank you guys so much for watching, and let me know what kits you guys want.